Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week Tournament Edition from the Tyson Event Center in Sioux City, Iowa, where tonight the Lady Wildcats season came to a close just like last year in the second round of the tournament. This team faced the very tough Raiders of Northwestern of Iowa, the top scoring team in the nation in the NAIA, and after a very challenging first half, the Raiders opened up a big lead in the third quarter, and the Wildcats could only close to 8 or 9 points the rest of the game. The final score, Northwestern 84, IWU 64, ending the season for the Wildcats at 21-12. Well, you know, it's always tough when the season comes to an end, especially so for seniors, but for all the players and the team leaders who've worked so hard to get to this point. Luke Watson takes us inside the highlights from this final game.
On Friday night, the Lady Wildcats took on Northwestern in the second round of the NAIA National Championship Tournament. It was a back-and-forth game with many swings and momentum. Early in the first quarter, Margot Woofter hit a mid-range jumper to bring the Wildcats to within 10 of Northwestern.
Woofter looks inside, drives to the baseline, puts up the runner and put it in.
Margot had a team-high 27 points in the game. Here's Carly Lang with a nice rebound and putback to put the Cats within 7 in the second. This was one of Nicole Ignashik's 17 points in the game, with a nice bump and score here. The Lady Wildcats finished the year with a 21-13 record in Ethan Whaley's second year at the helm. 3 starters will return next year: Dayton Groninger, Carly Lang, and Margot Woofter.
Shot clock down to 5. Out it goes to Key. Now it's to Woofter for a long 3. Buries it!
Off the bench, key contributors Janae Goodwin, Elena Adejua, and Stephanie Conrad will return as well.
Adejua gets the second one. Here is Woofter taking it down quickly. She'll drive inside, lean in, scores! Count it and put her at the line.
With your Wildcat Central update from Sioux City, Iowa, this is Evan King reporting.
And here with head coach Ethan Whaley. Coach, this is never your favorite Wildcat Week segment when you play your last game, but your ladies did play with a lot of heart tonight.
Yeah, they really did. It was a tough game, physical battle. We ran into a really good Northwestern team. You said it, our ladies played their hearts out, but at the end of the day, we just came up a little bit short.
Well, let's take a look at some of those highlights right off the top here. You knew these guys were going to score. Here you're getting a little bit of a defensive effort out of your ladies, but early on in the game, is this the way you drew it up? Is this what you expected?
Yeah, you know, I thought early on I really liked our shot portfolio. We got good looks. Early on, we didn't finish. We got to the free throw line. We didn't hit our free throws, so we dug a hole. But
here we see them.
Figured out.
Here we see them hitting it. Now we're back down here on the offensive end. Nicole doesn't follow, but is that Dayton coming back there?
Dayton had to put back there, yeah. Yeah, they I think they were 8 for 10 from 3. So every time we left them open, they made us pay.
They will match you for shots and then some.
Yeah,
so it's one of
they're
those
very active on the offensive glass, 14 offensive rebounds as well.
One of those classic things is of every possession mattering quickly, and they're going to run back down on you too.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, man. Every possession matters, and for a lot of the game, I felt like we had that mentality, but Northwestern had it for more.
We see Margot missing there. Were they doing something defensively? Because I watched as they came down we came down a couple of times. They were swarming. They were really making it hard to get your rotations going.
Yeah, they pressed us a little bit early on in the first half. We turned it over. I thought we handled it better in the second half.
There's Elena she got hammered a couple of times tonight. That was just missing the layup, but boy, everything you were trying to throw at them, they seemed to, even though they were an offensive team, they seemed to have a lot of good defensive answers there. Now there's Carly getting a couple of looks. Now she had a pretty good first half.
Yeah. You know, Carly, she got a little bit of foul trouble early on, so it's tough to get in the rhythm when you do that. Carly had a really physical, tough matchup, and I felt like in the second half she was pretty worn down. Couldn't rely on her like we had all year.
There's Margot. She gets the underneath penetration, but just doesn't finish. That's going to happen against a really tough team.
Yeah. You know, Margot took great shots all night. Some of them fell, some of them didn't. Played her butt off. Proud of them.
You see the 3 there from the Raiders, did they give you everything you were expecting as you looked at them on film and their stats?
Yeah, they're so good, man. very efficient, and they were efficient once again tonight.
Good follow there on the offensive board. And they're very quick. I just noticed their hustle. We were hustling too, but you got to give credit to Northwestern. They did play hard.
Yeah, very tough, very physical, very well coached. Really like their team, and it was a lot of fun playing against them.
Another follow there from Carly. And Margot again with the penetration. That time scores.
Yeah.
But I think they saw what she did in that first game, and they were not going to let her get comfortable.
Yeah, they did their best. And I thought Margot did an amazing job rising to the occasion, and she led us, which she didn't look like a freshman tonight.
Now we saw Nicole there, and I think this is coming down to that first half. You closed it to about 3, and then I think they got a basket or 2 there at the buzzer at the half, but you went in the locker room with 6 points. But what were you thinking there? It's like, okay, this is still within reach?
Yeah, I mean, we never felt like we were out of it. Even in the third quarter, they kind of made a big run, but I was proud of the way we responded. At the end of the day, they made more shots than we did down the stretch, and that was kind of the difference in the game.
I like that you see Margot there. I like the way the Wildcats all season have been constantly talking to each other, constantly chattering it up, but I think that third quarter, which we're seeing here, just too many Raiders opportunities, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, again, 14 offensive rebounds. I don't remember the second chance points. I'm sure it was up over 20. I thought our primary defense was really good. We just didn't finish possessions for a lot of the time.
A lot of hard. I think maybe as we came down to the wire, you cut it to 8 or 9. Maybe with about 3 minutes to go, if I'm remembering right. Is that recollection?
Yeah, that's accurate. We came down, we missed a layup, could have cut it to 7, and put a little pressure. I felt like we had the momentum. They called timeout, we still had the momentum, but we missed a couple of shots. They got an offensive rebound put back, and that was kind of the difference.
And then they come back and get a 3, and just really closed it out in the fourth quarter. So as we wrap things up, we've been down this road before, and you've been down this road when you were an assistant on the men's side. Sometimes you're not going to win it all. It really does take a lot to put those back-to-back games there. But this is the last game. What do you say about your seniors? What do you say about your leaders? Not just tonight, but all this season, just to get here.
Yeah, we faced a lot of adversity this year. We had to overcome a lot. And the thing that I'm most proud of about this group is this group continued to grind, continued to grit their teeth, and continued to pursue growth. And it wasn't easy with injuries, with a number of things. And our seniors were the driving force of that. So proud of Nicole and Katie, Michaela Martini, and Marcy Thurman, our manager. Just an amazing group of women. They're destined for great things long after they leave Indiana Wesleyan, and I'm so proud of them.
Your second season as a head coach, what have you learned about coaching the Lady Wildcats? What have you coaching the women's game? And obviously you're back here in the tournament, not finishing it completely, but just the second year to be back here. What have you learned, and what has your staff learned?
Yeah, I mean, I only got like a minute probably, so I don't know how much I can say. The physicality out here is really high. I feel like at times we were built for that before Ann went down. But the thing that we didn't match up well was the speed of the game. Northwestern was faster than us at every position. And so that's going to be a big emphasis going into the postseason.
And get Ann Seacrest healthy. You got some freshmen coming in. I know you're always recruiting. But we will bring you back into the studio one more time to kind of put a wrap on this season, and then I'm sure you take the bus ride back, and probably Monday it's back on the recruiting trail or something.
Yes, sir. It never ends, man.
There is no off season. Head coach Ethan Whaley, thank you so much for watching your team and the privilege of being able to be here and watch these ladies as well. They are class acts, your entire staff, and it's a joy for us. Well, when we come back, we'll take you inside the heart of this team and show you what it's like on game day, getting ready to play and advance. You're watching Wildcat Week on WIWU TV.
Our parks and preserves are not mere picnicking places. They're rich storehouses of memories and reveries. They're bearers of wonderful tales to those who will listen, a solace to the aged and an inspiration to the young. Wise words indeed from the father of Indiana's state parks, Richard Lieber. Come celebrate their 100th anniversary this year. Lands preserved for generations. That's honest to goodness, Indiana. Start exploring at visitindiana.com/parks.
As a mother, You don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all, not one bill. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
The treatment doesn't get any better than what you receive at St. Jude. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself. Promises to one's community. Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Well, welcome to Sioux Falls, South Dakota in this special tournament edition of Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock. Just a little bit later in today's show, we're going to send it down to Sioux City, Iowa, where Randall King and the rest of our WIW TV crew is down there covering the women's basketball team in their national championship tournament. But first, today we're going to talk about the Wildcat men, an incredible, gutsy, heart-fought, gut-wrenching victory as they defeat Dakota Wesleyan by a final score of 87-86. Again, the game of the tournament so far with the Wild finish. And as Daniel McMurray tells us, the Wildcats proved that they were not quite ready to go home just yet.
After a long, intense sequence of events, the Indiana Wesleyan men were able to pull off a round 2 win against Dakota Wesleyan, the number 4 seed from right here in South Dakota. In the first half of the game, the Wildcats started to separate the scores. Players like Jonathan Panzu, with only a few minutes of play in the first half, were critical in scoring points nearing the half.
Possession counts when you're in the national tournament, and for him to come in for 20 seconds and make an impact like that was big.
The second half of the game was a fight to the finish. The Tigers of Dakota Wesleyan caught back up, and with 9 seconds left in the game, the Wildcats found themselves down by 2 points, hoping for a miracle.
You know, we really didn't have a set for that. It wasn't enough time to really run what we would normally do, and so just kind of had to put the ball in Kyle's hand, and he's a playmaker. He's got a really natural knack for scoring, and what a shot. I mean, it's a step back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tougher shot than people realize.
The Wildcats will play again on Saturday, March 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against the Hustlin' Owls of Oregon Tech University. That game will be broadcasted live on WIWU TV. For Wildcat Central, I'm Daniel McMurray.
Well, welcome back to this special tournament edition of Wildcat Week. I'm joined now by the head coach of the Wildcats, Greg Tonagel, and Coach, really a hard-fought, gutsy victory today against a Dakota Wesleyan team that, I honestly thought they were maybe going to fatigue and tire out towards the end of the game. They only went about 6 guys, played 6 guys. They only played 7, but their 7th man played maybe 3 minutes. But to their credit, I mean, they really scratched and clawed and fought their way back in that ball game, and sure made it interesting there at the end.
I think you got to give them a lot of credit, to come back from 17 and, take the lead. That's a good basketball team, and they really fed off the energy in that gym today, and I really tip my cap to the effort they gave today.
You've been very intentional in both games. I think just very disciplined in that, like, I have to play my bench. And you went to your bench in both games. You went to your bench in the first half of this one. And I think they produced for you both games.
Yeah, the bench produced tremendously today, especially in the first half when Kyle and Evan were both out. We went on a run with those guys in the game, and they're growing up quickly. And this is a huge experience for our freshmen, especially Isaiah and Seth,
because there's a day where we're going to be counting on those guys in bigger roles, and if they know they can play on this stage, they'll take that into next year.
All right, we're going to jump into some highlights here and take a look at the highlights from the first game. And, you know, Grant Smith got you started off. He was, if there was a guy that made big plays all game long, I think Grant Smith was the guy. Double-double with the 17 points and the 10 rebounds.
Grant Smith making plays all over the place. I keep going back to his 2 charges. I mean, offensively he was awesome, but I keep going to his 2 charges. That were pretty big-time plays.
Kenny Coffey knocked down the 3 here in the first half. You know, you had some success early, too, posting up Kyle Mangus. I don't know if they took that away from you a little bit but later, but we've seen all season long where he can be a real difficult matchup for a smaller guard.
Yeah, Kyle goes inside and out. He does a tremendous job.
We knew for them Hoagland was going to be a really tough scorer. I thought McLeod for them obviously he had a great ball game.
Yeah.
He hit big shots for them all game long as well.
They play unique. I mean, all 5 guys shoot the 3. Nobody goes inside as a post-up option.
Right.
We haven't seen that all year, and that can be a challenge for 2 7-footers to bring those guys out. And so Evan and Seth really had to have defensive focus to stay high because it's so natural to drift towards the basket.
We saw a moment ago the drive and the finish by Joel Okafor. Is there anybody, and here's another, is there any stronger player in the country right now than Joel Okafor? He really has played big for you.
He is. He's a man. He's all heart, and we feed off his heart. And you know, when he's done someday, that's what we'll miss next year is that heart.
There's Kenny Coffey again with his second 3 of the first half. That's what you needed from Isaiah Payton was the good assist. Now, he didn't get the shot, but you out-hustled him for the offensive putback. But you mentioned Isaiah's first half, and he did play really solid.
Yeah, he came in and gave us great minutes. He's got such a quickness, but he can also shoot the ball.
Oh, Seth
what a
Maxwell.
highlight there.
Yeah. And you love to see the aggressive finish by Seth there. He didn't catch it and try to roll it off the front end. He just finished it.
He left
hard.
no doubts about where that ball was going. He's got so many different abilities, you know, to see the floor, to be athletic.
And right there, one of the plays of the game, right? Jonathan Ponzu gets 20 seconds in this game, and his 2 on that putback that closed out the first half was as big as any basket in the ball game.
That was a huge play. Huge play.
Evan Maxwell, he had some success inside. He was working hard the whole game. It was not an easy game for him because of the mismatches. I think his size and strength was kind of held against him a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, and it was. I mean, if Evan pushed back and they fell, it was a charge on Evan. He just put in a tough spot. I mean, you know, you let one guy push, but the other guy pushes back, and they're going to call a charge. So
there again is Joel with the finish. We've seen him do that before.
Sure.
You know, in the second half, guys,
this was a big play right here.
Yes, it was. Built 17-point lead. They started to fight their way back, but then Grant Smith just fighting, scratching, and clawing.
Moving his way through traffic, and then he's a great finisher. He's really, truly an elite finisher.
Here we go inside to Evan, and a little jump hook inside there. You got to keep going to him because he is such a factor.
Yeah, and he settled in the second half and gave us a great force down. I mean, he fouled out number 23. Number 23 is one of the most difficult matchups because of his ability to spread the floor at the 5. Well, Evan fouled him out, and all those things really pay off down the stretch.
Good, patient possession there. Got the ball reversed. Joel drives it and lays it up again. Boy, I know we said his name a number of times, but I've been really impressed with how Joel's played, not only today, but this whole tournament so far.
Yeah, Joel's been outstanding.
Now here is Kyle Mangus. If you Google right now, go and Google cold-blooded, and his image is going to pop up. And I mean, he just ice water in the veins.
Yeah.
Look at this ball reversal here. You get Grant Smith with the drive and the finish. It's even the fire there. You know, it's winding down here. With about a minute and 40 seconds, Dakota Wesleyan actually had taken the 1-point lead. They led by 2 at one point, but now, you know, there's only 7 seconds to go, and here is the shot of the game. Step back 3, 2 seconds to go. You know, they call timeout here, but the crowd that was going bonkers just moments ago because Dakota Wesleyan they thought was going to pull out the upset was sat in stunned silence after that one. But again, You know, I know Kyle was the hero of the game in a sense, but I really thought it was a real complete team victory today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of guys that made a lot of plays. And when it comes down to one possession like that, how do you single out a certain play? The shot obviously gets a lot of recognition, as it should.
Yeah.
But, man, if Seth doesn't come to play in the first half, Jonathan doesn't have that tip in at the buzzer, we're all maybe in a different position right now.
We haven't said the word defense yet, but I think Joel played a really solid defense and one of the elite scorers in this tournament.
He did.
Held Hoagland to 18 points, and that guy literally put up 43 the other day.
Where he does a lot of his damage is at the free throw line. He had 2 free throw attempts, and Joel did a great job of making him earn everything.
Well, Coach, last question. You're on your way now to the Elite Eight. You take on Oregon Tech. Again, one of those. Oregon Tech is a team that is just a perennial power here in the NAIA. They always show up in this tournament and play well. You got a big task ahead of you guys.
Yeah, they're a storied tradition. 3 national championships. You know, I knew Danny Miles when he was there. Coach Purnell actually played on a team that I coached against. So he's doing a great job, and they're tough. They play really hard. It's going to be day 3. It's going to be about your guts. You know, you got to bring them to the game.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the big win. Once again, 87-86, the Wildcats advance and move on into the Elite Eight. Well, don't go away. When we come back, as we mentioned, we're going to send it down to Sioux City, Iowa, with Randall King and our WIW TV crew with the women's basketball team. Don't go away.
When front yards become front lines, when disaster erupts, when disease rages, when communities collapse under crisis, at the crossroads of conflict and epidemic, where there are no hospitals, that's where we operate. Right now, Doctors Without Borders medical teams are operating in some of the most remote and dangerous corners of the world. We go where conditions are the worst, because that's where we're needed most. In nearly 70 countries, we're saving lives threatened by violence, disease, malnutrition, and catastrophic events. Donors are vital to our mission. Your response is critical to our response in places where few others will go. That's where we operate. Doctors Without Borders.
Everyone deserves a decent place to live.
Everyone.
Decent shelter is something we all need to thrive. When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home,
Build.
they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
For my family.
For my family.
Para mi familia.
Your support empowers a family to help themselves.
Help.
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 Assiste.
Your support helps another family in your community or around the world achieve strength, stability, self-reliance.
Strength. Strength.
Fuerza.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own.
Potential.
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 Through shelter, we empower. Visit Habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week, round 2, and the end of the road for the IWU women. And as you saw at the top of the show, survive and advance for the men. We know the reason we are able to do this TV coverage for you each year is that for so many years, both of these Indiana Wesleyan teams have always been in the mix. And that's an accomplishment that comes from continuing excellence. So what's it like going through back-to-back games and staying fresh in the tournament? We sent Jessica Voss to ride along as the Lady Wildcats found their fun and their spark on game day.
A Lady Wildcat game day begins with breakfast, stretching, team bonding, and a player-led devotional. It may be a relaxed pace, but every minute is planned, including more time in the gym. After a short bus ride, they brought their inside jokes and their jerseys to Morningside College Gym. But game day isn't just about the players making free throws. Coach Janae Gibson says success comes through executing their game plan.
For us, the biggest thing is just to keep the girls relaxed, you know, and we're in a different environment, a big gymnasium, but the worst thing we can do is get them over anxious. So we've been just kicking up, keeping our feet off, and just taking it every day like we do, prepping like it's just another basketball game, and then going out there and execute our game plan.
After a quick rest, the Wildcats arrived to Tyson Event Center, ready to show what makes them different.
Juice means it's something Coach Whaley came up with. Juice basically means energy. Juice is excitement and hype. And we have juice because we all get to play together and we get to play with joy. So we want to bring that on the court today when we play.
Following the pregame pep talk, the Wildcat ladies were feeling the juice and ready to take on Bryan College. After a well-deserved victory, the team began to prepare for another day. Because in the NAIA National Championship, ending a day with a victory means another chance to battle and bring the juice tomorrow. In Sioux City, Iowa, I'm Jesse Voss with Evan King for Wildcat Central.
Thank you, Jess. It is truly special, and we want to point out all the managers, assistant coaches, bus drivers, parents, all the people we get to hang out with at these tournaments who do give so much back to the players and give these teams energy both on and off the court. It means a lot to them, and it means a lot to both of these programs that are so special for us to cover. Well, as we said, we're not done yet. The IWU men tip-off on Saturday against Oregon Tech, and they've already had two tough challenges already. Saturday's quarterfinal round is usually a tough out too, and the Wildcats have been there before. 5 p.m. Eastern Time is the broadcast live from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Roger Alcock and Perry Frank will have the coverage at pregame and halftime, and then follow up after, as hopefully the Wildcats move on to Monday. And as always, the best way to follow all the tournament action is on our special website, wildcatcentral.tv. So that will wrap up another year for our coverage team in Sioux City. So I want to take this moment to thank our producer, Nathan Johnson, and some students who really aren't TV rookies anymore. Luke Watson, Evan King, Jessica Voss, and Annika Peterson here in Sioux City. And in Sioux Falls, Elijah Ratliff and Daniel McMurray, as well as our TV staffers, Paul Crisp, Russ Clark, and of course, you know, Roger and Perry. It does take a lot of people on our team, too, to bring you this coverage, but we're grateful we get to follow the Wildcats up close. So one last time, for everyone involved, I'm Randall King. So long from Sioux City for 2019, but we're certain the Wildcats will be back.